Hi, I'm commentating the Quarantine Cup with last week's champion. Not too bad. Looks like we're already partially into the game. And I guess and it seems like their decks are a little mixed up, and I guess we'll see how this game works out. Mm.
Yeah, it took a long time before anyone got a remake in this game, which is really the only trashing on the board. So um, Harry Parry, who's trying to play more of an engine, uh, their deck is not fully drawing or really doing too much. Um, and Lumarog is kind of playing more money, and looks like they're about to get, I think, their third province. This will be. Um, but we'll have to see if it's enough to hold them over before Harry Potters deck comes together.
Yeah, because I can notice that points lead, but like I think this will come down to shuffle from what I can tell.
Umrag has another province in hand. Um, Not that Harry Potter can't get the last three, but again, their deck isn't really there
Yeah.
in terms of doing a lot in one turn. So it's getting a little late for them.
Yeah, and then and now they're having terminals collide, and so I feel like it's a little late because Harry Perry can make take duchies, but then of course the duchies are going to get into their deck.
Right. Yeah, and again, since they didn't really trash very well, that plus all the coppers that they have, it's going to slow them down. PQR pointed out that Herbalist's ability of putting a gold on top got used. Very rare, and did work there to get them around another province. Um, but he did give away a lot of information to the players by saying that. So
Yeah, I can see that.
that was a
Yeah,
joke.
yeah. I feel like we should that was I guess partially on the spectators for not realizing spec chat earlier.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's not like they were told to use an ability that they weren't already using.
Yeah,
I think we'll be okay.
yeah. It's not
So
a huge reveal.
Numero chooses to play a remake heater before a wharf. Um,
Mhm.
Seems like a strange choice.
Yeah,
Probably makes more sense to kind of see what you can draw before you do anything with it.
yeah. I think the only reason you would want to do that if you wanted to remake the wharf, but I do not think that is something a player would want to do at this point in the game. I guess it's possible that they were tracking their deck really well and knew it was there, but that seems unlikely.
No, I mean they still had like 20 cards left in their deck, so I'd be very impressed and would accuse them of cheating.
Yeah.
Um, but here we go. Harry Perry is finally having a turn with a bunch of warps in play, um, getting rid of some coppers. But again, they don't really have the economy built up to get all the points that they need to catch up right now. They don't have a displace to turn those golds into provinces or do something else that would get the points quickly.
Yeah, I feel
Uh,
like it would make sense for they could both use the displace right now, I think.
for sure. And Numerog, drew 8 again. So I think
Yeah.
not going to say that seals it for them, but that will bring it pretty close. They'll get 40 points, almost half VP.
Yeah, and then Harry Perry will duchies can only get you so far.
I meant 38, not 40, but that's still about there.
Yeah.
but we'll see. Maybe I spoke too soon. Uh, Harry Perry has a lot of
Yeah.
coins right now. What's that? 19.
Yeah, so I guess that would be a double province, but I guess don't think doubling would be enough here.
They'd have to double province and double duchy. Um,
Yeah, which I guess would be 22 coins, assuming my math is right. Yeah, so they just go for all duchies to keep the province pile at 2, which I think is very reasonable.
yeah, but right here, if Umrug sees it, they can just buy 2 duchies to pile out. They don't see it. Um, so Harry Perry still has a chance. They need 14 points, which, if they get province, double duchy, and 2 estates, they can tie it. Um, I, I, my intuition is if they had like the perfect draw, they could get there, but they did not have the perfect draw.
Yeah, because now they're having like the terminals collide again, and so
Right.
and
Yeah,
now Harry Perry has 2 wins in hand actually.
right. We'll see which one they pick. Hopefully, the noble bring in that's more stylish. All right, so they do end up pulling it out at the end. Got pretty close, but wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So it looks like um, Derpion and EH 1414 are just starting.
Uh,
Join them next.
yeah. Uh, so it looks like uh, they have a board with like they have a few like villages here, but I feel like they're like there aren't any super good terminals. Like the only good ones here are really like remodel and ironwork, which is only sometimes terminal.
Sure, and Ironworks will help you get a lot more villages, but if those villages don't have any terminals to play, uh, it's not necessarily the best thing here. Um, the trashing is a little bit slow with just raise and forge. Um,
Yeah, I
we'll
feel
see how
like
that goes. I'm sorry if you can hear the ice cream truck outside my window, by the way.
it's
I
fine.
don't have the best sound cancellation. Um, One thing that I enjoy about playing in the Quarantine Cup is the speed of play is really quick, and you don't have to think too much about what you're doing. Just kind of do something and hope that it works out right. But that also makes it really hard to follow along as a commentator and
Yeah,
understand what people are doing and why. So
yeah, that.
that's how I feel about this one so far. Like we joined like a minute or two ago. It's already turned 7. Uh, I'm trying to keep track of the players' decks, but it's
Yeah,
not really something I can
because
do
because I feel
perfectly.
like normally it would matter too much joining right after turn 1, but like in the quarantine cup, that like turn 1 is like a big portion of it, like or not like a big, but like a higher portion of the game.
Sure.
And I feel like now Derpian is like building up. I guess. Yeah, I think the Lost City there is like nice because like that's gonna be the main source of drawing on this board.
Mhm. This is a board where if someone suggested pirate ship as something to play, like I would think there would be a little bit crazy, but not entirely crazy. Oh, and right as I say that, here it comes.
Yeah.
Uh, with Palace on the board, that makes treasures a little bit more valuable, and especially now that some of the coppers have been trashed to raise. Um, Money is really the only payload here, so
Yeah. I feel and I feel like I because like if they had coppers, that wouldn't. But like I think it's definitely late enough in the game for a pirate ship. Uh, I could even see like both players taking a pirate ship.
Yeah, one of the issues with pirate ship is if you do wait till late in the game to get it, uh, it doesn't have the chance to build up as much as you'd like it to. But if you get it early, like you're saying, um, you're just helping your opponent get to a better place with their deck. So
Mm.
we'll see what it does here. Yeah, and if you're going for one pirate ship, you might as well commit to it.
Yep. So I feel like with all those, so the Derpian goes for a wedding. So I think that's helpful because like now they have the debt, so I probably would have just like gone for like something cheaper, but that's just me. That it could work out still.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would have taken a wedding there either, um, especially against the scary pirate ships.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's just all it's really doing is helping feed your opponent's pirate ships like with what they are.
Right, so we've gone through the plazas. Doesn't look like any other piles are in danger of disappearing anytime soon.
Yep, I would just like probably guess maybe a raise or like I guess it's a little late in the game for raise, but like possibly I guess Lost City I can see maybe disappearing at some point.
Sure. But with the only additional gains here being from remodel or from ironworks, it makes velocities a little bit harder to get. Um, if you're trying to use them to pile out.
Yeah, definitely. It's just like I think it will still be like a decent buy choice, partially because they're hard to get.
All right, so Durkan's down to a pretty clean deck, um, which is nice. But again, against the pirate ships, if they hit the right target, um, they won't be left with much they can do.
Yeah, I'd say like the pirate ships they're gonna be nice, but I feel like the player, it's just going to discourage the players from taking money, but then on the other side, the money is like their only payload. So it's probably going to be like going back and forth since they're going to want to take some money.
Sure. I think let's see what's in the trash. Yeah, both golds in the trash now. So not much money left for Derpion in their deck, and not much money in BH's deck for Derpion to get with those pirate ships.
Yeah. And then Derpian, I think, got like really unlucky with their terminals here. I'd say probably like they could like play like a taxman maybe. Okay, they go for a remodel. I think that also works.
Yeah, they use up all their coffers to get a Lost City here. But again, they don't really have much economy left in their deck. There's not much in EH's deck for them to go for. So I think they're in a pretty bad spot.
Yeah, and now EH like could possibly like get to a pilot soon with like the lost cities down at free, and I guess the races are now empty.
Right. Yeah, I might consider getting another ironwork system now, just to try to pile out a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Uh, oh well, with Lost Cities at 2, that's yeah. I mean, they don't have to be in a rush with the deck that they have. Um, Turbion's not going to be able to get up the economy to get a province,
Yeah, of
let
course.
alone 2 anytime soon. So as long as each draws their remodel on this turn, they should be able to win.
Yeah.
Yep, and there it is.
Yeah, so I'd say right now what you'd want to do is probably just like build up like well
Yeah, they have.
almost has a win, so
Cool. So pirate ship doing something good, a rare occurrence.
yeah.
Glad we were there to see it.
And so it looks like that brings Anne up to be tied with Mick for second place behind Sammy, with Alibi behind at 7 and Tracer at 5, and then a bunch of people at 2.
Let's see who else we can find.
Um, wait, so I guess just see which one. Is there some people in the queue? So I'm guessing,
Yeah, there's a few people saying they have tables, and no one going to anyone else's table. So we'll see
yeah.
what that ends up
Um,
happening.
Okay, Perry joined S,
Cool.
so it looks like on this board, they have some nice draw with scrying pool and I guess possibly menagerie, although I probably wouldn't go for that on this board. I feel like there also might be like building with like displace and like grand market because those are gonna be their gains. And trashing, it's kind of limited. I guess you can use displace, but then mostly just like with develop and bishop, which also like can like help your opponents with trashing, so can have downsides.
For sure. Yeah, the trashing's hard to come by here, which makes scrying pool a little bit worse than it would be otherwise. Um, I'll be the first to admit that develop is not a card that I'm very good with. Um, like it hurts my brain to think about how to make it work well. But here
Yeah,
you can trash states into schemes or menageries or
yeah,
something expensive.
I'm kind of the same way about develop. So both players choose to go for it, and I guess I'll just hope the players know how to use it better than I do.
Right. So Harry Perry went for a bishop on turn 3. Um, like you were saying, it's usually not a good idea to get a bishop early in the game. It helps your opponent just as much as it helps you. And especially on a board like this with colonies and a lot more points out there, the few points that you get from trashing with bishop early aren't really going to do much in the long run. So um,
Yeah.
that should help BH quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd say like since there aren't any curses on this board, it's probably safe to just go for displace as you're trashing. Like, okay, of course it does have its costing 5 problem, but I think just like maybe like out like 1 silver, and it's usually not that hard.
Yeah. You can only play one terminal on this board too. So once you go for the displace, you can displace the develop into an artificer. Um, and you know, if you have a lot of cards to trash, I'm sorry, to discard with artificer, you could sneakily get a grand market that way. Um,
Yeah, that can be helpful. And I guess Artificer can also help out with Menagerie.
yeah, yeah, good point.
Which I think,
Right, and Simon points out artificer and scrying pool too. If you discard all of your actions, you can draw them back up and do it again.
yeah, I think that can help them a lot. 'Cause that's like a really good point. Okay. Okay, so Harry, it seems, took a menagerie, so now they're both going for menageries here. I guess we'll see how it works out for them. I feel like they take a displace first because now they just like have like all those coppers in their hands, so the menageries won't hit too often.
Sure. Yeah, this place is not great for copper trashing. Um, with the only two around being in the state,
Yeah,
which also gets in the way of the menageries and the scrying pools.
yeah,
Um,
because like I feel like it's kind of better than bishop, which is kind of
oh,
the
definitely.
only other option, unless you want to try to do a develop. But then develop also has its problems. Well, I guess you wouldn't have you can use it to trash coppers, which is nice, but with the exception of coppers, it can just get in the way.
Sure.
Okay, yeah. So PQR says that he wants a lot of artificers here. Um, I'd say that actually makes sense. Like, take a few artificers, and like, I think it can help with like Grand Market and Menagerie, and like pool and Scrying Pool. So I think that makes like a lot of sense to do.
Yeah, and just getting one artificer helps you get a lot more um, with the scrying pull tricks that we were talking about. So it doesn't hurt. At worst, it's a peddler that helps to activate menageries. So, although the menageries have been activating themselves pretty well for both players.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there I would have considered putting an artificer on top for EH, um, and in doing so, activating the menagerie with the artificer. Um,
Yeah, I think that could have helped him out. Mm. Yeah, and Simon points out there that the artificer doesn't have to gain, which makes it help even more with Menagerie, because like you don't have to. If you only have like one card that you don't want, you can you you're not like forced to take a copper or anything.
right. So each displace their potion there. Um, I don't think I would have done that just yet. Uh, Never hurts to have more scrying pools, and I think they have only two right now. And with there's other ways to get to a grand market, and once you have a grand market with a potion, you can use whatever leftover, two in a potion that you have to get more scrying pools and help to build the deck even more. So you can use the artificers anymore. Uh, so yeah, I think displacing the potion may be done a little bit too soon. Truffles disagrees though, so she's better at Dominion than we are, so we can say that it was probably right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess Truffles has the point that you can just like gain the potion back and then take which yeah, so that will definitely get you like wait, so you can take the potion. I'm a little confused, Truffles, on how you can
So
use that to
basically,
get a grand market.
well, the displacing the potion was the only way to get a grand market last turn, and you know there are easier ways to get a potion. So I think what Truffles is saying is, use that potion to get a grand market, and now buy a potion, um, so you can discard the one that you have. Maybe use one of those to get more scrying pools, and use the other one to displace back to a grand market or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I think she has a good point there. Oh, and Truffles says that she was going to like artif- artificer to like gain the potion at some point. Yeah, I guess you could. I guess that could also work to discard the coppers, but I feel like that would just be like sacrificing your buy that turn.
Well, like the last turn, each kept 6 coppers in their hand at the end of the turn, so they could have uh, use those for an artificer, if nothing else.
And it looks like it has that nice like payload cycle going. So I think that will help him out later in the game.
Sure. Yeah, I agree that it's nice, but again, probably would be better um, with a potion around,
Yeah.
right? And these artificer tricks could be a little fancier.
Okay. So I guess I'd probably have taken the potion back there instead of just going for the Grand Market, uh, and taken maybe like another menagerie or a scheme instead. Piles are also running a little low, so
Right.
we'll see what they do. Well, I guess because now EH has no control over the scrying pool pile because he doesn't have a potion in deck.
Yeah, he could regain one in the middle of the turn, so like that control could come back. Could regain two in the middle of the turn, even just by getting one. Um, so I wouldn't say exactly that he doesn't have control there, but you're right that it'll take him a little more work to get there. I think EH's main advantage here is all the artificers, right? So Higher Parry only has one to EH's 4+1 in exile.
Yeah, so
Um,
I think that will give him a boost.
I guess I wouldn't be super surprised if he could. Well, maybe I would be surprised if he can win this turn, um, just because also would need 5 points in addition to everything else. But it does seem possible.
Yeah, I guess you'd have to get like some good luck and like with your menageries because I guess you could like draw a deck and then eventually play.
Yeah, my brain doesn't work fast enough to figure out what the potential win would be, uh, at quarantine speed. But
Yeah, if this wasn't quarantine speed, I feel like there probably would be a win, but it is kind of at speed. Okay. So
right,
he's just going for a menagerie and a grand market, which I feel like that's just like setting Harry Perry up for a potential win because Harry Perry can just like take a few schemes and grand markets, but of course still has the disadvantage of not having as many artificers.
right. So EH took fleet in addition to lowering the piles, which I mean, even if Harry Perry is to pile out and buy fleet this turn, which doesn't seem possible with their deck, um, I think EH has enough stuff to get the points that they need afterwards. So yeah, given
Yeah,
that they bought fleet, I think their decision made sense.
yeah, because like EH could like easily get a definitely a province and I guess even a colony. So uh, I'm not concerned about EH's ability to catch up with fleet,
Yeah,
but
right. Especially if you think about the, I mean, EH just has a lot more power in their deck with Harry Perry only having two, now three grand markets, one artificer, no displaces. And I mean, just Harry Perry is just kind of leaving it open here, um, emptying two piles. EH just needs four schemes and a province or something like that.
Yeah, and I guess EH could probably just like take four schemes this turn and then take advantage of the fleet to like get a province.
Yeah, I don't even think they'll need the fleet turn, to be honest. And PQR says they can go for estates too. I mean, they basically have that in hand right now. Going the scheme route, which works too.
Yeah. They will both work.
So that's, I mean, right can go for pile out of their choice right
Yeah.
here. It's like they'll go for scheme province. So well played by EH.
So it looks like now Mick is currently uh the only, well, not the only one at 20, so ahead of despite the late start, now ahead of everyone.
Right. Yeah, pretty
And
impressive.
that match puts EH in second place at 15, and then Sammy, Alibi, and Apo are all tied at 12, and then there's Tracer at 10.
See, I don't see any games that just started. But it looks like Appo's looking for someone.
Yeah.
Let's see what.
So I guess we'll just see which one of them finds someone first.
Yeah, this is kind of a classic problem with the quarantine cup is, everyone makes their own table and waits for someone else to appear,
Yeah.
and do that sometimes.
And now Uppo says queue of spectators, but I guess I only joined, but I feel like it's not really true because I'm probably just gonna move to whoever finds their opponent first.
All right, we're halfway through.
Yep.
Hopefully, more than halfway through our waiting time.
Yep.
Uh, while we're waiting, I'll just talk about something I noticed when I was uh, checking up on what I might say during this, since I don't normally talk. Um, it's pretty cool that there have been 19 quarantine cups and only two people have won more than once, right? Being Dan, who's won four, and Tracer, who's won three. No, I think I got that backwards. Tracer has four and Dan has three. Um, so pretty cool that people who are not very good at Dominion like myself can play some good games and end up winning, which I think is a nice feature of this. So
Yeah.
you know, if you're
I've
someone who's listening to this and choosing not to play for some reason, there's no reason not to play. It's a lot of fun, and even if you don't win, like you get to play some.
Yeah, I feel like that's like very interesting about this. Like, Um, I guess maybe wait a few more minutes, but I think soon let, uh, I'll just tell him to play again.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good number of people playing right now. Um, so hopefully one of those games finishes soon.
Yeah.
All right, looks like we got a game.
Yep.
Rafa's playing Turpion.
So it looks like it, uh, they have another. I feel like we're watching the same players so far, but oh wow. So
I don't think we've beat Oppo yet, so
yeah.
it's getting a little bit of variety.
Yeah.
This board doesn't have super easy trashing. Got raise, which is a little bit worse than usual with shelters.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, it does have moneylender. I just missed that, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think if they can get to alter, that can be useful. But of course, I feel the like the card here that like I think is like important is like nobles since it's like the only draw, and of
Sure.
course that's too expensive for alter. But I
Right.
think but I think it will still be helpful in trashing and but like it doesn't fin your deck or anything.
Right. Yeah, it looks like they both opened Fishing Village Moneylender, which is reasonable to me. Oppo summons a procession and gets to process his shelter, his necropolis into a raise, which is not bad. Summons another procession.
Yeah, that's interesting. Um, I guess maybe you'd like do it on like right? Like they don't really have doesn't really it's not gonna like get him rid of his like overgrown estate, which is probably what you'd want to do. Okay.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
he processed the money lender, which I wouldn't have done just yet. Um,
Yeah, I'd
but
say
he could get another one right here with Falconer and
yeah.
process it again.
Yeah, so I guess
Um,
that's
for
helpful
card.
to be able to do that. Okay, but he chooses to go for Cardinal again instead, which probably would have gone for a moneylender, but Cardinal also works.
Yeah. You know, when I saw this board, I was not expecting it to be so procession heavy. So it's cool to see him try that. Again, choosing to get a cardinal rather than trashing coppers.
Yeah.
But the cardinal's been pretty productive so far, as far as cardinal goes, with piles that aren't empty.
Yes. Cardinal, like, I feel like it can only go so far, but I think it's been performing a, better than it usually has, at least in my, it doesn't, at least in my experience.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one argument in favor of cardinal on this board is, like you pointed out, the only draw is really nobles, and once the nobles pile empties, uh, cardinals can stick the nobles in exile permanently, uh, which could have a really big effect. So, um, yeah, once we get to that point, I can see the cardinal being pretty powerful. So Appa looks pretty far ahead here to me. Um, he's got what, 5 falconers, Fidurvians, 1 or 2. Um,
Yeah,
he's got 2 nobles, Fidurvians 1, and he has the only altar.
yeah, and I think Oppo still has that nice like possession thing chain going, but I think in the end, like Derpian also has like too I think too many fishing villages. So we'll see what happens to them.
Yeah, so procession of falconer sounds good to try to get those nobles.
Yeah, because I feel like, but once they're once the nobles like are gone, it won't be as helpful. But I think for now, that's like a really good play.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want a bunch of altars, so that's not going to really do much. But piles are very, very low now. We've just got 3 processions and 1 fishing village. Um,
Yeah, and two
I don't,
nobles.
I don't know how many. Wow, that's a lot of falconers. So I think Oppo can win this turn if he gets
Yeah,
falconer to the fishing village, and yeah,
yeah,
if he does,
yeah. I guess process the falcon. Okay. Well, or he
uh,
can win that way.
yeah, and now he's just doing things for fun.
Yeah. The one I saw was first was the nobles fishing village, but that also works.
So pretty cool use of procession. Um, like I said, I wasn't expecting it to work that well, but it looks like it did.
All right, so I think right now we still have Mick at 20, Sammy close behind at 17, and then, oh, and I guess Appo is now also at 17, and then there's EH at 15, and, and A Libby at 12, and Tracer at 10.
I just joined Oshi Mine's table. Um,
Uh,
they're just getting started, so you want to come over to this one.
yeah. Okay, so it looks like they have some nice draw here. They can also. I noticed that like Govard and Rays are the only sources of trashing here.
Sacrifice as well.
Yeah, Oh yeah, and sacrifice. But I didn't even notice that. I do feel like there's some nice draw on this board, but I worry that like once the world villages run out, they're not really going to have many actions to be playing that draw with. So it's a little disappointing that they can't that werewolf and hunting grounds aren't going to be as useful as they usually are.
Sure. Now, one thing about hunting grounds is because it draws so many cards, like just having 5 villages in your deck might be okay. And if you really need to get an extra village effect, you can always use sacrifice to trash an action that you don't want anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Unf-
so to me, the most awkward part of this board is extra gains. You have duplicate um, and skulk as the only 2, um, which are both a bit clunky as far as that goes. So nothing where you can gain cards in the middle of your turn. Um, yeah, just a little bit less powerful than some other gainers.
yeah, I guess I feel like at the end of the game you could also like do like a call like fancy sacrifice hunting grounds thing, like
Sure.
and and try to and so I feel like that can like will be their main way of greening then. And Oshimine takes an early province. Well, I guess it's not that early, but I feel like I think on this board you might want to do a little more greening not greening. You want to do a little more building before you start greening.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. But Salty Earth does make it a little bit easier to end the game if you
Yeah.
have the vibes for it. So I don't hate getting the province that much.
Yes.
And this is another case of like I'm trying to follow what's in each person's deck, but because it's quarantine speed, I may not be entirely judging the decks correctly.
Yes.
Like I'm surprised to find that Boomerang still has 7 coppers,
No.
but they're gonna keep building a bit, which seems fine as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're still building. So I guess Lumarog just goes for like the fetching min duplicate, uh, which I think is nice. I'm actually kind of surprised that that's the first fisherman of the game.
Mm. Locust trashing hunting grounds is fun.
Yep. Like I feel like depending on what stage of the game, like sometimes that can even be good.
Sure.
So
So I don't know what's in those 9 cards for Lumrock, but it's 5 coppers.
yeah, and looks like I think Lumarog. I could be wrong, but I think Lumarog was like doing the province and then go back to building thing. I feel like
Hmm.
that's kind of interesting. Like,
Sure, that's almost never as powerful as building before you green. Especially here when you're not, really protecting from a pile out or anything by getting those points.
yeah, definitely. I think here, like, it's probably like once you get points, you can. It's not super hard to get a pile out, but I think, but like that, those points, like they still gave a pretty easy pile out. They still left. They didn't really do much in protection.
All right, Lumrock has Envious this turn, which is definitely going to hurt a bit. I guess it depends on what they draw, but
Um,
already Gold Cannon is an effect.
yeah. It will probably mean they get like slightly less money, but I think, well, I guess it will definitely delay their greeting. But I think as long as they like do some good like building, maybe like with take a duplicate or a like a govard on it, they could still work out.
They left one card on their deck there. I don't know what it was, so I'm not
Yeah,
sure why they did that. They also got a navigator, which I would
yeah.
not.
I think it was a world village that they left in their hand. I don't see why you would do it, but it's possible that there's a reason. Uh,
All right, so out of actions there. I thought Oshimine still had an action left, in which case they probably would have had a win that turn, but they don't.
yeah, so I think. I guess now. Okay, so Oshimine is going for the duchies. So I feel like because I guess what would I guess it's possible that the duchies would pile out, but I guess there isn't really a third pile, so we'll see how that. And now I guess if Oshimine can find, uh,
Yeah, so they have enough in hand
yep, they
already.
have a win here.
Cool.
Cool. So
Just one thing I know for the very end of that game is they played a sculpt when they didn't have to, and the hex that was given out was locust. So if for whatever reason the top card of Lumarog's deck was Hunting Grounds, they would have gotten a duchy out of it, and it actually would have been a win for Lumarog. So a good lesson in why you don't play cards you don't have to at the end of the game, because that would have been a game losing, you know, hex giveaway there in a slightly different circumstance.
yeah, but I think it didn't. It looked like it all worked out. And it looks like Sammy and Mick are now tied at 22. And then there's Apo at 17, at 15, and Alibi at 12.
Nice. I just joined Tracer. Um,
Uh,
they're just getting started, so
okay.
see what people opened here. Teak opened Market Square Basilica. I'm sorry, Market Square Monastery with Basilica, and Tracer opened Forge or Spice Merchant.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really like the Monastery here. Spice Merchant is a pretty good card to start doing some trashing with because it moves you through your deck a little bit and um,
Yeah.
the
I'd
clean
say.
shuffle Tracer's going to have here.
Yeah, I'd say you can do your trashing with Spice Merchant. Like maybe you'd get like one forager at some point, because that's like one. So, and then like later you can do a forager, and then you have those treasures in the trash.
Sure. Yeah, and Tracer opened with a Forager too, so I think what he did there makes sense. Some people overvalue Basilica points, and I think that's what Teak is doing here. They already have 6, but on 3 hands where they could have got something better, uh, they, they didn't, right? So on 4 they got a monastery twice, and points are nice, but the better way to get points is probably to put better things in your deck.
Yeah, I'd say they could have just put like something better. Okay, and then they go for the Basilica points again. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Like,
No, I think there would have done it. So taking like a more holistic look at the board, the hardest thing in this board is draw. Um, there really isn't any. Um, apart from Apothecary, which could draw coppers, but they're both trashing other coppers, so that's not really worth much of anything anyway.
Yeah.
So in decks like this, you really want to make them pretty dense in terms of money, um, so that you have more in the few cards that you can have.
Yeah.
Tracer takes the last 4 Basilica points, didn't want the 12-0 split. Um, Gets coppers. His deck's pretty much under control, and he has a few trashers there, so probably not going to slow him down too much.
Yeah, and I realized that the thing that you could do, it's probably not the best idea, but and neither of them are going for it, but I feel like it might be interesting to like take a few like good cards and then get like a mountain village so you can try and like draw that way, like only the good cards, but that kind of relies on them all being in your discard pile.
Right. Yeah, I think the last part of what you said there is pretty important, um, and especially with smallish decks, like you're not always going to have a discard at the beginning of your turn like you would in a large deck without draw. Um, see, Teak never got a Spice Merchant, and it's just been trashing with those monasteries, one forager, I think, which is a little bit slower. Doesn't build up the economy as quickly. Although they're getting a few gold tiers, maybe that'll change.
Yeah.
Tracer uses Reap, which is nice to have a board in which that's relevant.
Yeah. Well, I guess I think Reap is going to be nice here because because since there isn't much to draw, it's effectively like an extra card that's in your hand. Well, that really that you play.
Sure.
And now Tracer is going to have a decent payload to this turn.
Right. He bottom decks his treasurer, which is a little bit sad, but still gets a province out of it. All right, and here's what you were looking for before. Mountain Village at the end of the shuffle where you can pick up what you want. But again, you can only pick up one card, not increasing your hand size, um, and there's just not much of substance there in the deck.
Yeah, I think. Well, what you could do there is try, like, I guess maybe take like a gold or it's maybe a forger to get that monastery out of your deck because I don't really think it's that useful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they go for a gold, which I think also works.
The Tracer trashes the gold with Spice Merchant to draw some cards and then draws it back, which is a nice little trick. Sorry, gains it back from the trash for Treasurer.
Yeah.
So Teek's in a tough spot, down 8 points. Um,
Yeah, because I feel like, because I guess it's possible, but unlikely that you could province duchy on this board.
yeah, Treasurer's been doing it with his Spice Merchant and Treasurer, but Teek doesn't have either of those. With the hand that they have right now, um, yeah, I mean, what they did here is the most you could do. Could have trashed the monastery instead and bought a province and just kind of hoped for Tracer to have some bad turns, but for Duchy here instead. Kind of hard to catch up on a board like this with no draw, with the Duchies taking up space and nothing to get them out of the way.
Yeah, because I guess. Yeah, so I think Tracer is in a good spot here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
provinces again.
Now I'd say it might actually make sense to just trash the monastery there with the forager because it's not doing anything. But of course,
Yeah,
that like doesn't get you a payload or anything.
sure. So I think Tracer's last card there was the Treasurer, which is not the first time that he's bottom decked it.
Yeah, I think. I feel like bottom decking it is unfortunate, but I think Tracer's deck is good enough that it shouldn't matter too much.
Sure. I mean, even the hand that he has right now, that's a province because he's got the key. He can even gain a gold from the trash. Um, and I don't think he can get to 40 points anytime soon. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess right now, like, Teak could just, like, double duchy there. Like, that's the best move for them. The problem is that then they're going to have a reshuffle, which is just
Mhm.
going to have all that green in it.
Right, that's what they end up doing. I would also consider they're just provincing and hoping for a really bad turn from Tracer.
Yeah.
Just
I,
from being that far behind, not really much you can do. Um,
yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Because it's like about to be really even harder for Take Penton to catch up because once the statues are gone, like estates can't really do much.
mhm. Right. So even right now, without Tracer getting any points, they need 12 points, which would be, the last province, the last duchy, and 3 estates. Um, definitely not something that's happening in a turn, and seeing Tracer's hand like we do, you can at least get a duchy out of it.
Yeah, I think right now, like, Tate's only chance is, like, Tracer playing really badly, but I doubt that's going to happen.
I mean, Tracer's trying to, defend his record as, quarantine cup champion with the most cups. So you don't
Yeah,
expect that.
yeah.
All right, so that's enough right there.
But,
Um,
like, okay, so that's another win for Tracer. Uh, well, I guess that kind of. Because now we have Sammy at 27, Appo at 22, Mick at 19, EH at 15, and Ayla B and Tracer at 12. And
I just joined Mick and
26.
Tracer.
Okay.
I'm just getting started, and maybe this will be a playoff preview. So
Yes.
what's going on? We've got a board here with Way of the Mouse as catapult. So always a fun card to see. Uh, you can even buy your catapults for 1 coin if you want, as 4 houses.
Yes. Like,
Uh, not a lot of draw on this board either. Um,
yeah, I guess what you could do is if you can, like, you can get a payload, then you can just, like, take a bunch of horses, but that, and of course the horses are going to go away, and you'd have to get like a payload in order to be able to get enough horses for it to matter.
mhm. Yeah, so tracker using Way of the Mouse is pretty nice because you still get the top deck ability. Um, anything under the line you still get with a Way. So Tracer uses it there to top deck another a tracker, maybe even to be another catapult.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Uh, so I guess what Tracer could do. So I guess is Tracer like going for like the horse or something. Uh,
Not sure. You could put Hosiery and Horse on top if you wanted, or either of those. Um,
okay, so looks like he goes for transmography.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what that ends up doing. This is the kind of board where I'm not sure um, what the best plan is. Um, so yeah,
Yeah, I
we're
feel.
watching the experts. Maybe they'll enlighten us. Uh, Tracer decided to discard here. Discard the bounty hunter.
Yeah, I feel like what you could do is like get Jester because I feel like what like trashing is limited on this board, so that could get in their opponent's way.
You mean like putting extra junk into your opponent's deck with the Jester?
Yeah, like it's actually like the curse, because even if like there's exile, there's of bounty hunter, I think.
Well, you got every card being a catapult, right? So there's still a little bit of trashing that way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you have that.
Yeah, catapult is a card that I always regret not banning every time I see it in the game. Uh, so a game in which every single card is a catapult is just kind of a nightmare scenario for me. Uh, again, especially in this board, really no draw, just always playing from a 3-card hand. Um, it's just tough to get anything going. Mix stocking up in 4 houses.
Yeah, I guess I feel like you could probably just. I feel like those four houses will most likely all end up being catapults.
Yeah, they can be catapults. Also if you end up with enough coins to buy a villa, you could buy the villa and then play the 4 houses after you've played all your treasures. Um,
Mm,
it's something that takes a little bit to set up, but it may be what he's looking
yeah,
for here.
yeah, but I feel like, well, now he doesn't even need to get a villa to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess he still needs the villa to
Sure,
play
but
all of
doesn't he?
them.
So add some villages to his deck. Make it so he can play the 4 houses a little easier.
Yeah. Now I guess what Tracer could do is like maybe take a few poorhouses, because I think I like what Mick has been doing with the poorhouses, so I think Tracer could also do that with his deck.
Yeah, it's not clear to me exactly what Tracer's plan is yet. Um, but again, this is kind of a hard board to have a good plan on when you always have so few cards around.
Mm.
So Mick really focusing on getting rid of all his treasures. Um, goes right for a province, which again here it's hard to build up, so seems
Yeah,
reasonable.
yeah. Now that Mick is greening, I think Tracer is a little behind here, but I think if he plays it right, he still has a chance at winning.
Sure. Yeah.
And I feel like this game is like a little challenging because they're trying to play this whole thing with free card hands, so
Right.
that's going. I feel like that's they could be like having like higher payload and like doubling if that wasn't without the catapult there.
I don't know how easy it would be to double without catapult, just because there's really no draw around. But I mean, it's definitely impactful between the catapult and the legionary, which Tracer got down with a goal last turn. Um, it's hard, hard to really get anywhere.
Yeah, I guess like it would be possible like with if you got like a some nice shuffles, but like it would still be unlikely. But I feel like they could make it happen at least occasionally if they had 5 card hands. But like it would take like some nice coordination with like poorhouses and hostelries. And then I guess a villa.
All right, so Tracer has the transmogrify down, which is pretty important in terms of milling towards the end. Um, Mick has one down too, it looks like. So they both have the potential to buy one at mill. Um, see what ends up happening with that.
Yeah, because now the question is, will Tracer take the risk here to try and province? Because I'm not sure there's that much catching up, especially as Mick seems ahead already. Uh,
So you were thinking like trash the tractor into a silver or something?
yeah, that's probably the best move for him. But of course, or like, I guess it's not the best for him. It's really just like all like, does he think it's worth it?
Right. It's a move with a chance.
Yeah.
That's one way to put it.
I just don't think the Duchies will be very good at catching up this game, especially because Mick has a fairly consistent province.
Yeah, and he ends up doing what you suggested.
Okay, and it looks like he's going for it. And especially because Mick will be playing. Mick will effectively will only have 2 cards in his hand that he's able to control, which will be a challenge for him.
Right. Yeah, I don't know exactly what's in those 6 cards. Let's see.
Okay.
Poorhouse.
Yeah.
I
So,
think that's enough, right? Because you can play a poorhouse, buy a villa, and then play the last 2 poorhouses.
yeah, I guess that works for him.
Although that was assuming Tracer got a province, which he didn't. So I take back what I said about it being enough.
Yes. Because now, cause I think since Tracer was able to double Duchy, I think. Because now it's going to be risk for Mick take a take a province,
Right.
and of
Um,
course,
so he goes for it. He knows that Tracer doesn't have Transmogrify down, which makes a big difference.
yeah,
Mick can win here, right? Just like
yes,
the
because he doesn't.
province.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he can just like play a villa, bounty hunter the province, and then play a poorhouse.
Ah, okay. I was looking in a different way, but that works too. Well, so it looks like we got time for one more or so. Um,
Yeah. Um.
why don't we join Sam E, who's looking? I don't think we've watched any of his games yet.
Yeah, and I think he also has a decent chance at winning because he's like tied with Mick at 24. Uh, there's behind Apo at 27, and then we also have EH at 20. So that's our final four are pretty much decided because it's most likely going to be Apo, Sammy, Mick and EH, because A Libby would need like, well, I guess if A Libby
I think
wins
A's
and
not playing anymore.
yeah, so then the chances, so our final four are pretty much decided if A Libby isn't playing. So
But no one wants to join Sam.
yeah,
The game's finishing up.
yeah. Um, looks like Tracer has a table. But they've already played.
A bunch of people are just waiting at this point.
Uh,
Uh, oh,
it looks
someone's
like someone's going to play. Yeah. Uh, well,
everyone's fighting.
place. I think I'm gonna. You should. Yeah, I hope EH plays Sam because he's been waiting for so long. Okay, yeah. I think rematches are fine at this point. Uh,
All right, so EH joins Sam. We've got a game. Um, both of these players are currently in the top four. Um,
yep.
I may not have the fully updated spreadsheet that you have, but to me it looks like if Sam wins, he'll be the first seed over Oppo. And
Yes.
if EH wins,
He'll be
we may
the second
get to
seed.
match again. Yeah, he'll be the second seed with Sam as third. Of course, depending on how other
Yeah.
games go. So let's see what we got here. Unlike a lot of the boards we've seen so far today, there is some draw with Smithy. Um, but the only village is Snowy Village, um, which makes it a little bit tough to have kind of a long, drawn out term with a bunch of actions.
Yeah.
Looks like both players open Salvager silver, which makes sense. Sammy goes for a potion.
Yeah. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah, Apothecary is pretty good here um, to get your coppers into hand so you can sanctuary them or junk dealer them. It also may be a better way to kind of set up your Snowy Village plays if you can, I don't know, I guess, make sure that you get in at the right time. But again, if your Snowy Village draws an Apothecary, that makes it harder to play all the actions that you need to play.
yeah.
Sorry, if you're, yeah, that's right. So they're playing very fast here. Good quarantine,
Yes.
but hard to pay full attention to.
Yeah.
I mean, commerce is for a gold. Not really much payload
Um,
outside of money here, so that sounds good.
yeah, I guess. mm, Well, I guess you could just get some payload from junk dealer, but I feel like that then you still need something to feed it.
Right. Appa was suggesting something that would feed it which would be copper ruin commerce, right? So you get 3 golds and 3 pieces of junk. Probably not worth it, but
Yeah.
still a fun option.
Yeah, because I guess like junk dealer like could be like if either of them chose to go for Marauder, then like junk dealer could be really nice, but like they're probably not doing that for that reason.
Yeah, I'm not a big Marauder fan myself. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just makes games go really slow, and kind of how I feel about Catapult, I feel about Marauder.
Yeah.
I try
I
to ignore it whenever it's possible.
yeah, like I tried. The thing is, I generally think it's better than it actually is, so I try to like avoid it. So I don't give it much power because it's
Hmm.
not very good.
So see, yeah, so Sammy draws just a copper basically with the smithy. Um, my guess is if he knew what 3 cards were down there, probably wouldn't
Mm,
draw. Um,
yeah, and DH is going for the profit.
right. Appa wanted a flag there, unless I'm reading the chat slowly.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the flag kind of. I feel like it's a little late for the flag. But yeah, I probably would have
Well,
taken the
Sam
flag
takes the
some
flag
point.
here. Sometimes it's nice to take the flag late because your opponent really has to slow down to take it back from you. Um, so if they don't really have the buys or they're in a position where they really want to green more, um, making them take time out of their way to get the flag when you bought it, hopefully somewhat more easily, um, may be worth it.
Yeah, and I feel like the thing is, I feel like with taking the flag a lot of the time, that just results in your opponent having it, because then you're kind of committing to either letting your opponent have the flag, or like taking time away to take it back from them. Like
Mm-hmm.
if they choose to take it back. So like it kind of disrupt from the greening. So
Sure.
that's why I probably would have just think that just going for green at that point makes more sense.
Oppo is looking for seize the day here. I agree. EH doesn't have a bad deck, but not the best turn here. Um,
Yeah.
and they may have a chance at getting the last 2 provinces, especially if they can draw back around to their salvager next turn. So I agree. I'd probably seize the day here.
Yeah, I guess what you could do is just take a. Yeah, I feel like the chances of Sam being able to province a state are just a little too high.
Yeah. EH takes the flag. Um,
Um, yeah, I
and
feel.
Sam, yep. No, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no visual indication of seize the day other than the line in the log that says that they bought it. Yeah, Sam's one off here. He
Yeah.
goes for province. So each needs province duchy or province
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
and they can seize. So
Uh,
that's province duchy right there.
Yep.
Exactly the points needed. There you go.
Yep. So it looks like that, and they still have 1 minute to get in another game if
We're
they
at
choose to.
the very end here. So I don't have the most updated score.
Uh,
Pretty clear top four still.
yeah. So they haven't sub- submitted those results yet, but it looks like Oppo at 27. I guess EH is now at 25. Mick is at 24, and Sammy is at 21. Uh, but then I guess Tracer has 14, but like he's not. Their chances of him catching up like that are very. So yeah, it's been
That would take.
our top four are decided. I'll just are any of them still playing is the question.
Sam's
Um,
at for a last minute game, but I don't think there's time.
yeah.
The bot hasn't
Mm,
said so, but
yeah. The
too late.
yeah, time triggers are not always accurate. Oh, and Mick it seems and I don't see Mick online, which means I don't know if he's
I don't see.
playing, so anyway, he's online on Discord, so I'm going to assume so we probably just walked away first, closed the tab or something. So I think it looks like uh I don't see any of them playing and it's over. So I seems like for the first time uh it's our top four are decided right away.
No,
So
no 5-player playing matches to watch.
yep, no, none of those. Also, no finish it.
So I mean, if we're sure that Mick isn't playing,
Um,
we just watched Sam
yeah,
DH. Apo was watching that game with us, so he's not playing either.
yeah. Uh, I don't. They are all either shown as offline or just logged in or only at a table. So they don't. So with the exception of Mick being offline, they all seem around. So looks like our top four are going to be it's going to be Oppo versus Sam and EH versus Mick.
It's a very league mod heavy Final Four.
Yes.
Yep. Plus,
Uh,
so of the Final Four, Sam, Apo, and Mick have each won one quarantine cup, and
So,
Ian won any yet. So we've got one chance at a new champion and three chances to be the third multi-week champion.
yep.
Which match do you want to
Um,
watch?
I'm fine with just watching whoever it starts playing first.
Okay, sounds good.
And it seems like that's Oppo and Sammy.
All
Who
right,
just started.
join them.
So it
So,
seems like this board it has some nice draw with Tragic Hero and Soleil, and I guess kind of Apothecary, but like it's not going to last them long. So like I feel like it's challenging, but then it's plentiful at the same time. Uh,
yeah, trashing's not easy here. You have Jack of all trades to trash estates, and trade route is the only other trashing. So
I guess you can also use Ducat to trash coppers, but that's not really efficient because then you still have a Ducat.
yeah, you still have a ducat, and if you were to go for apothecaries, that would stop them from drawing as much.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like either of them are going for the apothecaries here. Um, Sammy goes for Guildhall, which makes some sense with the Jack. Although, see, this is another one of those quarantine cup games where they're playing faster than I can think.
Yeah.
Goes for
So
Guildhall.
it's so interesting how it even continues in the playoffs when they're not under any time pressure.
Right. Well, it's part of the spirit of it, you know.
Yeah.
Sam goes for a tactician, um, presumably playing some type of single tactician thing, since the payload here is treasures, and he's got Guildhall to keep the treasures going. Papa delays the tragic hero, which will allow him to trash it for platinum. Pretty nice.
Um.
He does.
I guess. Well.
I mean, it's not nice in terms of having continuous draw, but platinum's a good card.
Yeah.
Uh, can help you get all the other things that you want, especially when it comes with a coffer.
Yeah. I feel like Oppo. I think seems a little ahead, but I think Sam could easily catch up here.
Yeah. So delay tactician is not a good combination, and I assume
Yeah.
Sam is not doing that. I don't know. I was going for a second tactician. Is
Um.
he going to delay the tactician?
Yeah. I don't really think that. I'm not a huge fan of that of that of doing that. I feel like tacticians like they can be nice, but like the second one is just getting a little aggressive.
Well, second technician is nice if all of your payload is not treasures, but I mean, given that they both have guild hall, that's not working here. And delaying a tactician is just giving up your entire next turn. So right, if delay was toil, uh, we definitely understand what Sam is doing here. Right, you can play your treasures, then leave at least a card. Wow, he does delay the tactician. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a little risky. Like maybe if you're at the bottom of your deck and you're good at deck tracking, you could do it. But it just feels too risky to give up your next turn without knowing what your hand is going to look like.
Yeah, well, it ended up working out okay. Um, yeah, I wouldn't really get a tactician here probably, but we'll see. I'm going for more tragic heroes,
Uh,
which sounds
yeah, I think the tragic heroes, like, I feel like they are the best, like, one of the nicest source of draw. Of course, they're going to go away, but then, like, it's nice to have those, like, extra platinums in deck.
Oh, apparently, Mick was playing a game, even though we couldn't find him.
Oh.
Conversation happening right now. I don't know. This is where I'm happy to not actually be the moderator and just someone who's here for the ride. So
Oh, yeah.
let
Um,
me figure it out. Um, so what would this have done to this?
uh,
Mick would
yeah.
have moved up, I guess. Mick would have been
Yeah, Mick would have been first against Sammy.
right.
So yeah, uh, did Mick, like, did he have followers off or something? I'm going to assume that's
I
what
don't
it
know.
was. Um, Uh, yeah, uh, I guess you, yeah. So, yeah.
All right. So it looks like we're gonna restart. At least that's what it
Um,
sounds like. I'm leaning towards.
yeah.
All right.
I, yeah. I guess it was my fault for, like, not pinging Mick.
I mean, I think you made a fair assumption. Didn't end up being right, but
Yeah.
all right. So we've got Mick versus Sam and EH versus Alpha.
Um,
You want to do the same thing? Whoever starts first will go.
yeah. That sounds good.
It looks like that's Mick and Sam.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a board with travelers. We've got peasants.
I guess, well, so it looks like Mick is going for the cavalry and peasant. Sam goes for omelet peasant. So they're both
I,
taking peasants, which I like here because you. I feel like teacher is going to be the main source of draw here because I don't think there isn't much of that on this board.
well, you've got cavalry's draw. Um,
Yeah.
especially if
Yeah.
you're going to be discipling it to get
Yeah.
horse stuff.
Yes, because like you'd still need the peasant to do that.
Mhm. So Mick already has fugitive. Um,
Yeah.
it's pretty quick.
Yeah. So I feel like that is going to be nice for him because I think that getting to disciple, like I'm not even sure you'd go for teacher because disciple I think is going to be really nice on cavalry. Of course, until the cavalry is run out, but even then, like it will still be a nice throne room.
So Mick already gets a disciple in his deck
Yeah.
on turn 6. So that's part of cavalry's power is speeding things up.
That yeah. So I think,
You would play the soldier, buy cavalry, probably see if you can.
yeah,
Like,
I'd, I'd say take some more cavalries. Uh, yeah, so he takes another peasant, I which I like because I think disciples are going to be nice here, and of course eventually they're going to run out, and so I think that split will be nice to have on this board.
all right, so Mick
Okay.
gets cavalry.
Yeah, and he gets unlucky with the running out of actions because
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if he decides to go for teacher here, I mean, you do want to stop at this point in the deck.
yeah,
I'm not sure which way to go. Given that it's only turn 9, you might want to go for it, but I'm not sure. He does go for it.
yeah. I guess that does like avoid the turns like that had like a sad ending, but like I think either way could have worked.
Sure. Sam gets to his disciple here too.
Yeah,
See if he also goes for teacher.
yeah. So I think what you would do now is probably just it's kind of like sad that like so you'd probably just have to play port. Okay, so it looks like he's not doing the reshuffle. Or no,
Yeah, I
he
mean,
is.
most of the cards in there are horses, so I think
Yeah,
the shuffle is right. There should be 3 other horses down there. Um, 1 copper. I'm not sure exactly what else. Probably
yeah.
some horse.
I think maybe a cavalry could be wrong. Uh,
So Sam goes for teacher too. All right. So what's the first token going to be?
um, guess I'm kind of thinking the token you'd put like something on cavalry, except you like maybe like action. I think action on cavalry and like card on port or like or, that I'm not sure which. I guess which order would probably depend on your hand.
Yeah, I guess I would expect Mick to put card on board here.
Okay, yeah, and Truffles doesn't like how Sammy exchanged to teacher. Uh, um, I guess I can see that. I think Sammy's deck will benefit from it, but you can. But I think it could have worked either way. It's like because it will. I think having an action token on cavalry will be nice here because they won't have to like worry about like when their parts show up.
Yeah, we'll see what he does. The issue, uh, with the teachers, it's a little bit slow, right? So he's not even going to get the effect of it. I mean, he'll get the effect of it next turn, but having an extra disciple here, uh, I don't know, may have helped a bit. Hard to say.
Yeah. Does Mick have enough cash to put buy on something and pile? I don't think he does. None of the piles are really looking too low,
Right,
but
he'd have to get 8 pies.
yeah, like I'd say the best pile to do that on would probably be like a state, but that would probably. But I don't know if he has enough cash to do that.
Sure. Well, certainly without putting plus buy on something, that's not what he's going for.
Yeah. Well, I guess you. Yeah, he'd have to put like cusp coin on something first.
So he can get a lot of horses here. Um, but the question becomes, can Sam pile out?
Well, now I guess I doubt Sam can both pile up and get enough points. Well, I guess
Well, he could use the often used quarantine cup rule of a tie goes to second player,
yes, that can definitely help him
but
out.
but not with this draw.
Yeah, not with that draw. And I think even with that rule, he would he would still need. That would mean he would need like province double estate or province duchy, which I because eight
Well, yeah,
points.
presumably he would have to get the 8 estates right to end the game and pile and have it be a tie.
Yeah,
But
he'd have to do. He'd have to like get alliance most likely. That would probably be the best way to do it. But I think But I think those 10 coins would be hard for him.
so Dan's saying that Mick has at most 7 gains here. Sam gets a masterpiece and 4 silvers.
Huh?
So he's got some economy. Uh, and he's got all these ports down here, so I guess he assumes that he can draw through it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Here.
again, deciding if he wants a silver or a coin here. Goes for
Yeah.
a coin. For both these players, the ports are hard to come by, uh, hiding at the bottom there. So Mick has to settle for some horses and a death.
So I guess now Mick definitely has a points lead here. Uh, so I just think a pile out would be a challenge for him at this point. Uh,
Yeah, I don't think he has the gains to do it right now.
I guess what you do here as Sam is probably, well, I guess is just,
With all this money, I don't know. Maybe he's going for alliance. I'm not sure.
yeah. I think Alliance would probably make sense for him.
So he can go for double alliance here. It's
Yeah,
gonna make it hard for him to draw through his deck. So he goes
yeah,
for two provinces instead. Try to keep a little bit
yeah,
more control.
yeah. I guess double alliance would like help set up for a pile out, but I I don't think it's that good.
I mean, Sam has the money that he needs for a pile out, so the alliance wouldn't do too much for that, other than open up the estate pile a little bit. Um,
Yeah, I think Sam like just needs like to get the buys somehow.
right, and he has his teacher on his mat, but I mean, looking at his hand right now, that's not really going to work.
Yeah, like if you like he doesn't really have any draw in hand, so I
Yeah.
think it's just going to be. I say Sam should probably just like put like action on cavalry, and and then leave it at that, and then take a duchy or something, and then just hope Mick also has a bad turn.
All right, so Mick's only able to get a duchy there. Um,
Yeah, I think that will. Well, I guess it helps knowing that Sam will also only go to duchy here.
right. Sam decides to keep his teacher on the mat, which probably makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like he's going to take another shuffle anytime soon.
Right. So on his next turn, Sam could consider putting plus buy on something,
Yeah.
depending on how Mick's turn goes, I guess.
Yeah.
So Mick goes for coin on cavalry.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. The only other option is going for buys to pile, but I think he just doesn't have enough payload for that.
Mick's drawing through pretty much everything here.
Yeah, I'd say Mick, I guess, disciple the cavalry, and
I might disciple the peasant to get a third buy.
yeah, I guess that also works. I don't really think that buy is that necessary
Yeah,
because he's probably going to want to take a province, and then I guess another buy would be nice, but I think the horses are more important.
Sure. Goes to the alliance. So max points that you can get out of that. And
Yeah,
people that are talking about sacrifice, which a good way to get either an estate out of the deck or to get some draw from a cavalry if you end up with a hand that's different from what you want.
yeah, I think the sacrifice would be great for Mac. Okay, so he goes for a farmer's market instead. So the problem I have with the farmer's market is that it takes a few rounds for it to be helpful. Well, I guess you could do like unless you wanted like a fancy disciple, like disciple
Right.
and then
I think he just
fight
wanted
him.
to buy, and he returned the peasant for a soldier there too. So without the farmers market, we only have one buy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Truffles is pointing out that the hand Mick has right now would feel a lot safer with a sacrifice there instead of a farmer's market, right? Because then you can draw 2 cards out of the cavalry and
Yeah, because
feel
it's
better about it.
yeah, it's not like he's going to be seeing
But
his horses too
it
soon.
does look like um, I don't know if I can count buys correctly, but I think Sam may be able to get his one off from Sam. He has the money he needs,
Um,
but
well, he'll have five buys, I think.
buys, right? Because he can disciple one of them.
Yeah,
But that's one buy off from getting this.
yeah. Oh no, he has six buys, but that's still off. Uh, uh, Alliance Duchy. I guess I guess that would definitely get him the points he needs. It would put it would mean some junk, but yeah, because since you can't double province, I'd say Alliance Duchy sounds probably what I would do.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how much money Mick has in his deck right now. So I don't know how likely he is to double province, but Alliance Duchy, most points you can get out of it.
Yeah, I guess I guess Sam could just like take two more duchies, but would give him a small points lead. Um,
Oh, nice. He points out that Mick has this same deck, which even if Sam does Alliance, um, Mick would be able to make up that point difference. But again, he doesn't have the best starting hand thanks to the farmer's market, and we'll see how it goes.
yeah, and what you could do
Yes,
is
Sam buys in a duchy, 2 estates, and a gold, kind of a make your own alliance.
yeah.
But now uh, I don't know. It doesn't give nearly as many points. I guess he's really trying to prevent Mick from being able to pile out. Um,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Um,
from buying the last two provinces, but
yeah. Um, yeah. I think I like Alliance Duchy more.
mm, yeah. So now Sam would just need three duchies or five estates. Um,
Mm,
estates probably easier for him.
yeah.
I think he has it in hand right now,
Uh, yeah. Well,
right?
yeah,
That
because he has,
number of fives
yeah, because he
over
has the,
the works.
yep. So Sam has the win.
Cool. So congrats to Sam for making it to the finals.
And, yep, and it looks like, uh, thank you, Tracer, for posting the results of Apo versus S. So now it's going to be, what's their,
So we
see,
get we get the game that we saw a preview of earlier
yep,
before we realized there was a mistake.
yeah,
Danny. Um, they both won one quarantine cup, so whoever wins will join Dan and Tracer as the only multi-time winners.
yep,
Right, what we got going on here? A nice swindler board.
yep. Um, they have Haunted Wood, which is on my band list. Um, wow, it sent me as like a yay Swindon. Yeah.
So this is, not the first game we've seen today with Snowy Village as the only village. So again,
Mm,
it's something to watch out for.
yeah.
Uh, both open
Mm,
Swindler. Sam open Swindler Swindler? No, they both open Swindler
it's,
Swindler. And they
yeah.
both uh, get both of them. Like they both don't.
Yeah, I feel like they should be like getting like raised or I feel like maybe get priest instead of spice merchant there because swindler's going to put like curses in your deck
Mm,
and like other junk, and I don't think you should be limited to just you want to be limited to just trashing treasures.
sure. Yeah, I don't mind starting with the Spice Merchant personally, just to move things along a little bit faster, play the Swindler a little bit more, um, and then maybe move to a priest or something later. Um, but I can see what you're saying. It's working out too. All right, here comes the Swindler. Swashbuckler to Duchy. Classic Swindler move.
Yeah.
Uh, something that I look for on a Swindler board is there a card that can't be taken away? So on a lot of boards, that's gold. Here, gold would be turned into
Mm,
an artisan, which it's fine. So there's only good choices at 6. Um, but if you can find your way up to platinum,
mm,
there's nothing it can be swindled into other than more platinum. So
yeah.
Right, you don't want too many artisans.
Yeah.
Just with just Snowy Village around.
Yeah, like if the snowy village was a normal village, then artisan would be really nice on this board, but sadly it's not.
All right, so I mean, it looks like Sam's swindlers have been a little more menacing so far.
Yeah.
Uh, so Oppo ended up with 2 priests and I think no spice merchants, and a duchy instead of a swashbuckler. So looking pretty good for Sam right now, I think.
Yeah.
But again, with Swindler, you never know. Sam has
Mm,
gotten rid of all of his green uh, and all of his coppers.
yeah.
Gets 2 haunted woods down, so moving along. Decides that he's done enough damage and chooses to quest the Swindler instead of playing it.
Yeah. Mm,
A 4th haunted woods. Got 2 on either side now.
Um,
Even gets to do some more swindling.
yeah. So it looks like uh I guess what's okay, so Sam just goes for the takes a gold to silver. Feel like I probably would have preferred some like draw there, like with swashbuckler or haunted woods. I
Yeah,
guess.
well, he already has 4 haunted woods, right? So he's
Yeah.
drawing, 6 cards every turn,
Yeah.
and with the only village being Snowy Village, you can only play so many terminals. So I don't mind not getting one there. Appa goes for a venture, also known as a future duchy,
Yes.
and Sam again draws his deck. So looking pretty good. Right, he gets another haunted wood. So now he's going to start each turn with his deck pretty much in his hand. and add some more money as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair resign from Oppo. So pretty
Yep.
fun final game with Swindler for people who like
Yep.
Swindler. Uh, Congrats to Sam on his second Quarantine Cup victory.
Yep. Thanks. Thank you, Not Too Bad, for commentating with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Nope. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.